Hey, this is Scott Osgood with XRAY FM out of Portland, Oregon. Very excited to be joined by Caroline Rose. Talk a little bit about her music project and what she's doing here in Boise, Idaho for Treefort Music Fest 2019. Caroline, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
The pleasure is all on this side of the table and the backdrop. So you were just mentioning off camera here that this is actually a one-off show. Caroline Rose is not actually on tour. What brought you out to Boise?
Well, I'd heard about this festival for a long time ago.
But never been.
And never been.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and
And what did you hear? What is from an outsider's perspective, what is the perception of Treefort?
It's a good one. I mean, I think
it's a good festival.
Yeah, it's like it's a perfect size because it's not too big where it's overwhelming, and it's not so small that like there aren't any bands that we know. It's like a really nice mixture of like bands that we don't know and are like new discoveries, and then like really great headliners, and it's a good festival to play.
Cool.
Yeah, and you get all the good bands that are coming back to the like Northwest from South by.
Absolutely.
Like,
it really works out well.
Brilliant model.
No kidding.
For a festival.
And honestly, from Portland, my perception of Treefort is that it is kind of the South by of the Pacific Northwest because it's not just music. There's a lot of other entities being showcased here. But boy, oh boy, am I so excited that Caroline Rose is part of the sterling lineup they've got for the folks this year. Want to talk a little bit about your music project. Last year you released Loner. And that, I want to say, was... Oof, man, now I'm feeling the pressure of being on camera. I want to say that was a debut record? Yes? No?
Well, yes and no. I had put out a record like 5 years before that, but it was a totally different sound. And
still under Caroline Rose?
Yeah, it was still under my name because I think like when I first started, I had a different idea for my career. I just kind of wanted to be a songwriter, and I like kind of gravitated towards just like real basic songwriting formats and styles, and I really love like the narrative style of like folk and country music and stuff like that. But I think over time, actually pretty quickly after I released that, I was like, I think I just don't feel comfortable doing this specific style. It felt like a little bit too constricting, and I didn't feel like I was flexing enough of my musical muscles. So yeah, and after that I like switched my whole team around, wrote a bunch of music. Almost all of it has never been released.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it feels like a really stark contrast between the two.
Sure.
So that's why I like technically consider Loner a debut. But it's technically not because I never changed my name.
Right, but it's the reannouncement of Caroline Rose.
Yeah, like I think if I had like for branding purposes, it would have made more sense if I had just changed my name, but it's my name. It's my like actual
Don't wear it
name.
out.
So
aside from, feeling confined by genre constraints, was there anything else that led to this change in musicality? Was there anything you were listening to, or maybe other media input that led you to want to flex more?
Yeah, definitely. I think the more music I listen to, the more I realized like that there's so much more that music can offer, and it's not just about the music. It was like film and visuals really influenced me, and I'm like, wow, this is such a huge element to a show. And I had never really considered myself an entertainer, which looking back on it, I find truly bizarre because I like was a theater geek forever. And I'm like, how did I not put these two together? Like, what? This is like such an untapped thing. But all I wanted to do was just like write songs and just be a songwriter and be taken seriously as a songwriter. And that was it. But now I'm like, wow, it's way more fun if you have this like theatrical element, add this theatrical element, and visual element. Both my parents are visual artists. Like, you can combine all these elements and create something that's like uniquely your own. So it's like more than just the music. I see things in like 3D now. So it's more like
it's like you exited Plato's cave and you saw the sun for the first time.
Yeah. I just think of it differently now.
Sure. Speaking of kind of the theatrical nature or perhaps embracing the term of entertainer. Can we talk a little bit about your wardrobe?
Sure.
Because it seems like this is in line with the red tracksuit that we see on the cover of Loner. I hear that you often perform in all red. I know a lot of performers before you have sought to establish a certain uniform, but I don't want to put any words in your mouth. How did this come about for you? Does this mean anything in particular, or are you just a fan of red?
Well, I'm really just a fan of red, but this has been like years in the making. I think over time I was like, wow, I wear red all the time. I should just get rid of all my other clothing. But it's that, and like over time it really happened. It was like my closet just kind of kept getting like more and more red, and when I would get rid of stuff, I'm like, oh, just get rid of this blue thing and the green thing, and now it's just like uniform. Sometimes I don't wear red, but no one will see that.
There was never a conscious decision of trying to create an image of you as a performer.
Well, of course there was. Like I remember when I first met with my managers, back then I was like exclusively wearing one outfit, and it was like black and white.
You're like Pepper Ann.
And I just so desperately wanted to be taken seriously as a songwriter that I was like, okay, I'm going to wear the most basic thing so no one can talk about like what I was wearing.
I have to focus on my craft.
Yeah. Just like listen to the lyrics, listen to what I was trying to do. And I think at that point that served the music. But like when I met with my managers, they were like, I was like in all red and had this very like bubbly, kind of funny weirdo personality, and they're like, wow, you don't sound anything like your music or look anything like your music. And that was the first time I was like, huh, that's interesting. And after that wasn't the first time I had heard it either, but that was the beginning of wanting to make music that sounded like my personality. And I think the wardrobe, it ties into that. Like I love the color red. Like, why not just embrace it? Sure. And just make that part of your thing. It's memorable. So
it's attention grabbing, to say the least.
Yeah, it's like it's memorable, and you know, the tracksuit thing, that was like completely happenstance.
It's just like what you were wearing that day.
Yeah. And we made this photo that ended up being the album cover. And then shortly after the album came out, the first thing that we did was South by, and I was like, well, the album's out, people have seen the cover,
right? Like,
we should just wear tracksuits to be recognizable to people. And then after that, it was just like, oh, tracksuit girl, tracksuit, the tracksuits,
tracksuit mafia.
You know, but there's really no thought behind that. There's like no, just other than I like a tracksuit, and I had one in my closet. I was like, this would be a funny idea. Let's do this. Throw a bunch of cigarettes in my mouth and take a picture.
Hey, rad. So you mentioned earlier that you got a lot of friends out here playing. Who else are you excited to see here at Treefort?
Well, we're definitely going to see Rebel Bucket.
Cool. At the El Coro?
Delicate Steve. Yeah. And Toth, who plays in Rebel Bucket, he's amazing, but he's playing at the same time as us. So.
As Toth or as?
As Toth. Yeah, but Rebel Bucket plays tonight, and Delicate Steve we're going to catch. Chai, I can't wait to see. I feel like this is like really lucky that we get to see them because they're from Japan.
Absolutely. It's a privilege.
So cool.
They for sure drove the furthest. Well, not drove, but traveled the furthest to be here.
Yeah. I know. I saw a look at their tour schedule, and they played New York like a week ago.
It's crazy.
I'm like, how did they get here?
They gotta fit in all the U.S. states while they're here, I guess. Wow, I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy.
They must have a crazy budget to work with. That's insane. But I'm like so grateful to be able to see them. That's so sick. Yeah, we had a bunch of friends who played right before we got here. Mm-hmm. Illuminati Hotties are some of our buddies, and
I was trying to meet up with them as well.
Yeah, they're great. Man, who else is here? I feel like there's so many.
Well, the lovely thing about I'm sorry?
Avaluna is here.
Of course.
Avaluna. Some Brooklyn friends.
Cool. Yeah. And one of the best things about festivals is always that accidental discovery. Is walking down the street, which is so easy here in Boise, to pop into a bar that you didn't even realize was an unofficial or perhaps even official showcase for the festival and see some really cool music, whether it is from local or is from even abroad. Chai is not the only international artist performing this year, and that's one of the things that I think that is particularly special about this festival, especially happening in such an isolated area like Boise. To see this cultural exchange, it's really something.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's also cool to see. It seems like the community here really loves this festival because it integrates really nicely. It's not like South by where like all the locals are like,
man, it's South by season again.
Yeah, and
we're going on vacation. Yeah.
It seems like it really integrates the local community really in a nice way. It's like good for the economy and stuff.
Definitely.
It's a good festival here. I'm into it.
Cool. What's coming up next for Caroline Rose? You said you've got a lot of songs that you've already recorded that have not been released. Maybe those will see the light of day. Maybe they won't. Are you working on any new material? You said this is a one-off show?
Yeah, it's a one-off show. So I go home tomorrow, and I have about a month left to finish up like the last bit of tracking on my next album, and I'm so excited about it.
Cool. I don't want to push you too much on those details, but are you still working with New West?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Fabulous. Mm-hmm. Cool. Do you have any timeline expectation of when you would hope to see that record come out?
Yeah, you'll be hearing new music this year.
You heard it here first, folks. Well, I am stoked for that. Anything that's been, creatively driving your gears for the new material, or do you get into kind of an isolated, not listening to anything else kind of mode?
I listen to a lot of things. I like to listen to things that are current as well as some older material. But really, what I'm listening for in current stuff is just like different arrangement styles and. Excuse me. Yeah, I try not to like listen too much to anything that I love a lot because it starts to creep into the music.
Mm-hmm. It bleeds in.
But there's definitely like, sorry, I have like the worst album. There's definitely like some early 2000s pop influence, like serious dance pop, Ace of Base style Mariah Carey, cool. Like, yeah, it's like gonna
perhaps
be
what
a
the
pop
world
record
needs
for
now,
weirdos for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to hear more. You play again today?
Yeah, at 6:50 on the main stage.
What an honor! I can't wait to check it out. Caroline Rose, thank you so much.
Thank
Folks,
you.
You can find more about her at her respective social channels. Anything else you want to holler at the good folks of Radio Land and Beyond?
I don't know. I have no
idea.
idea.
On the spot.
Yeah, I'm on the spot. I'll probably think of something in like 5 minutes after this is over.
The best comebacks always come that way. You'll be like, God, I had a good one. I could have got that sick burn on him.
I know.
Okay, well, again, Caroline Rose, thank you so much for your time. So stoked to see you. And, yeah, thanks again.
Thanks for having me.